progress.
Good morning, dear Dharma friends. That was the music of Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, the greatest Qawwali singer of our time. Right now, in a variety of places in Pakistan, Qawwali singing is happening. It goes on 24 hours a day at the Golden Temple in Amritsar. 24 hours a day in this beautiful temple in the middle of a small artificial lake. There's Qawwali singer. It's not Qawwali, it's kirtan singing. 24 hours a day. People singing with the notion that if you lose yourself in the devotional music, you awaken. Losing, and the same with the Trappists. They 5 times a day or 6 times a day, starting at 4 a.m, they come together to chant those familiar chants, to them very familiar, with the idea of losing oneself in the all. Mm-hmm. I'd like to call to the altar of our hearts my dear friend Larry, who at this moment is undergoing a brain surgery. Right now. And here's a little teaching from Hafiz about becoming human. Once a man came to me and spoke for hours about his great visions of God he felt he was having. He asked me for confirmation, saying, "Are these wondrous dreams true?" I replied, "How many goats do you have?" He looked surprised and said, "I'm speaking of sublime visions, and you ask about goats?" I spoke again, saying, "Yes, my brother, how many do you have?" "Well, Hafiz, I have 62. "And how many wives?" Again he looked surprised, and then I said, 4. "How many rose bushes in your garden? How many children? Are your parents still alive? Do you feed the birds in the winter?" To all of these he answered, and then I said, "You asked me if I thought your visions were true. I would say that they were if they make you become more human, more kind to every creature and plant that you know." Once a man came to me and spoke for hours about his great visions of God he felt he was having. He asked me for confirmation, saying, "Are these wondrous dreams true?" I replied, "How many goats do you have?" He looked surprised and said, "I'm speaking of sublime visions, and you ask about goats." I spoke again, saying, "Yes, my brother, how many goats do you have?" "Well, Hafiz, I have 62. "How many wives?" Again he looked surprised and then said, 4. "How many rose bushes in your garden? How many children? Are your parents still alive? Do you feed the birds in the winter?" To all of this he answered, and then I said, "You asked me if I thought your visions were true. I would say that they were if they make you become more human, more kind to every creature and plant that you know." And this is another Hafiz poem that seems to fit this moment very beautifully. It happens all the time in heaven, and someday it will begin to happen again on earth. That people who give each other light often will get down on their knees and with tears in their eyes will sincerely speak, saying, "My dear, how can I be more loving to you? How can I be more kind?" And so here we are. It's morning again. It's morning again. It's raining a little bit here in Portland. More like a mist. We rise early, we do whatever our rituals are, and then we make our way through the night, through the early morning, to the meditation hall. We encounter our friends there. Our friends who remind us about mindfulness, about love, about curiosity. Who remind us that we're not the mood that we woke up in. Who remind us to take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Not as some religious ritual, but as a heartfelt response, in a way, to the very challenging thing that we would call a human life. I take refuge in being awake, in remembering. I take refuge in the Dharma, in the way things are. I take refuge in the Sangha, in the community of practice. In the long lineage of human beings who have been drawn to this particular path. And really to all paths of awakening. Because in fact, of course, there is ultimately no path. There's just this. There's just being awake right now. And for 2.5 millennia now, human beings, following the way of the Buddha, have found a comfortable upright posture, relinquished the past and future to the best of their ability, and took up mindfulness of in-breathing and out-breathing. Each breath has a beginning. It truly doesn't exist. And then there's a longing, a craving, a desiring, a needing that happens. And breathing in begins all by itself. And this happens to fullness, and then there's a decline, and then there's a vanishing. Concentrating on the breath, of course, is not the goal. It's a strategy. Having a mind that is soft and open to breathing in and breathing out also illuminates the wandering mind. The mind that is full of I, me, and mine. And so we also awaken to all the various forms of planning and remembering and selfing, emotioning, wanting, not wanting. Ultimately, we become that which knows what's happening. There are experiences which are pleasant. And there are experiences which are unpleasant. There is a very natural tendency to want to maximize the pleasant and minimize the unpleasant. There is an evaluation of pleasant is good, unpleasant is bad. There is a disliking, quite naturally, of the unpleasant. This polarity is the nature of life. Our spiritual question is how to be awake, how to be in equanimity, how to accept the natural pendulum swing of life. Especially when there's pain, chronic pain, or when the world has gone insane, or when someone has betrayed us or we've betrayed someone else. When the compulsions or addictions are strong. We have this exquisite opportunity to support one another in simply being present. No matter what the mood is, no matter what the anxiety level is, no matter how high the fear is, or the confusion, there's this that is awake, the Buddha. And there is in-breathing and out-breathing. And in fact, the entirety of the body that exists only now in the present. Mindfulness notices the awakening from the different trance states. There can be identification with liking, with wanting, with grasping, craving, desiring. Imagining a future when this pleasure will arise. There can be identification with disliking, with aversion, with hatred even. There can be and is identification with restlessness, agitation, and worry, remorse, all those thinking worlds that we create or the mind creates. There can be and is identification with sloth and torpor, sleepy dullness. There can be and is identification with doubt, confusion, loss of faith. This is all normal. This is who we are, or this is who we believe ourselves to be. Let yourself sit like a rock. See the impulses to stretch, to adjust, to scratch, to have a sip of coffee, to have a drink of water. See these all as what they are. Land in this that is awake. sounds arise. And disappear. Perhaps they leave some traces in the body, some reaction. Nothing to resist. Liking and disliking may arise. It's just this.
Kind friends all gathered round, there's something I would say, that what brings us together here has blessed us all today. Love has made a circle that holds us all inside, where strangers are as family and loneliness can't hide. You must give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. I've walked these mountains in the rain, I've learned to love the wind. I've been up before the sunrise to watch the day begin. I always knew I'd find you, though I never did know.
I aspire to be awake. Refuge in the Buddha, awake. To accept life on its own terms. That takes a lot of openness of heart. When I discover that I'm hurting, no matter how, frightened, lonely, anxious, physically hurting, relationship tension, no matter how, I aspire to hold myself in sweet compassion. And as I learn to do this, as I open instantly to do this, simultaneously when I see darkness in the world, when I see greed and hatred and fear and war, I aspire to hold it all in sweet compassion. And now coming to this moment of sitting here in the company of friends, please let us be aware of the contact of the body with the chair. In fact, of the whole body singing its song of life. Noticing the aliveness in the hands, in the face, in the cheeks, in the lips, in the eyes. And letting the eyes move around, or willing them really to move around a bit in their beautifully lubricated sockets, clockwise circles, counterclockwise circles. And then noticing the intention that's required. And ever so mindfully letting them open. Open and noticing the miracle of seeing as it begins again. Seeing. And to see one another. Such a gift. And if your seeing isn't clear like that, just noticing the light. Seeing. It's not as though we stop meditating just because we open our eyes. That's a profound misunderstanding, that meditation is something we do for a little while every day. Thank you for coming to be together this morning. I have a little bit of announcement energy here. This is robertbeatty.com. Highly recommend you go look it over. It's wonderful. Lots of good stuff. May 29 through June 3rd, Don McEachern, who's with us this morning, and I will be teaching at Hollyhock. And Brighton Bush, this retreat is full with a waiting list, but you might want to put yourself on that just in case. And then in July, I'll be in Germany with Frank Leder, teaching a retreat there. And then again in September, back to Hollyhock. So that's a profound way to deepen your practice. To devote yourself for a few days to just being. And on the way to that, on the 2nd of April, Candle Summers is offering from 9 o'clock, I think it is, till 2 on that Saturday, a retreat. That'll be on Zoom. And on the next day, the 3rd of April, PIMC will be open for the first time in 2 years. It will be we're not going to do registration ahead of time. You'll be able to come as you wish. Those who wish to wear masks may do so, and we will reserve the choir loft for anyone who really wants social distance. But it will be an opportunity to reconnect as community, and I'm quite looking forward to it. And there will be a Karma Yogi Day the Saturday before. An announcement went out on the listserv today or yesterday. More on that will be here. If you'd like to participate in that, please go to the website, portlandinsight.org, and sign up on the volunteer list, and then you'll get all the information you need. Anything else that should be mentioned, Jim?
I'm getting ready to do a workshop online on the this Saturday, from 9 till 1, and it'll be involved with Qigong and movement, trying to release the pressure of all the news and all the reactions of the world around us, pushing in every direction, just finding a quiet place to stand and move and then sit and be still. Saturday at 9 o'clock. You're all welcome.
Thank you, Jim. So, dear friends, is there something that you would like to share? If so, just unmute and say hello, and here we'll be. I might say any of you who are joining us on Facebook and YouTube, you can always join us in person. If you go to portlandinsight.org, you can find the link. Look under online teachings. And if you go to robertbeatty.com, you can find the link there to join us.
Good morning, Robert. Good morning, Sangha.
Hi, Jamie.
I've only ever been part of this on Zoom. Can you talk a little bit about what happens in person on a Sunday?
God, can I even remember? Well, I remember when I was a boy. We gather at 10 o'clock. And actually, I will be beginning, I guess, in May. At 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning, I do an introduction for newcomers in the living room. From now on, in our gorgeous new living room. It's so beautiful. New couches and everything. But we gather, and if I'm leading it, we chant or sing the refuges. There's a guided meditation for 40 minutes or so, much like here. And then there's some movement. Jim leads movement. And I guess we've modeled this very much on that, haven't we? And then there's a Dharma talk, which varies tremendously in how it happens. But we have a microphone. The acoustics in the hall are very challenging. So very early on, I learned that we had to have amplification. We also have really fine hearing devices for the hearing impaired. And actually now I can and should announce this. We are also completely wheelchair accessible. That's pretty cool. And then that goes till around noon. And then we do a closing somehow. And then when COVID wasn't around, we would hold hands and do things like that. We probably won't do that for a while. And yes, Sherry, you're right. It starts at 10. The introduction for newcomers started at 9. So the main gathering is at 10 o'clock. And then we end, and then there will be coffee and tea, and historically there's been food, and I think we'll keep it very simple at the beginning. But we are going to go ahead and have the social time for those who want to participate. And anyone who wants to wear a mask, please do, if you feel like you should, for the benefit of others or for yourself. We ask that people who are only people who are vaccinated, please come to the center. We'll be doing our very best to make it all hybrid and available online. So that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it will be as it was for 10 years before COVID. That's one of the reasons we found it so easy to go online when COVID came along, was that I've been broadcasting to the internet for at least 10 years on Sunday mornings.
There was a question about vaccination cards, and we're not going to we're not going to filter out.
No,
people
no,
who don't have cards.
It will be on people's honesty, their own integrity, that we ask those who are not vaccinated to please not come. We toiled about that, talked about it a lot, but people, you can still get sick with COVID. I have 2 friends who've had it for almost 2 weeks, Omicron, and it's been bad. I mean, they haven't been hospitalized, but they still don't feel good 2 weeks later. So, if one is at risk of, the story. So that's our request. We will also have the fans going. We have quite effective ceiling fans, which in the summer blow up, which brings the air up like this and around. And in the summer they blow down. In the winter they blow up. But the air will be moving a lot in the center. Also in the living room we will have at least 2 and possibly 3 high volume air purifiers running. One possibility is to open the windows, but that makes it so unpleasant in the winter. So. And that first Sunday, I think we're going to have most of the teachers there. I've invited the teachers. I will again. We will sing in 4-part harmony. We'll do barbershop.
Good morning, Robert. Good morning, Sangha.
Who is speaking? I can't find you.
Sandra.
Oh, there you are, Sandra. Hi.
Hi. I just wanted to say that I started listening to your audiobook, and I'm getting a lot out of it. I read the book, and got, a lot out of it, and now listening to it, the teachings are sticking a little bit more. So I'd like to advertise that, go to Audible and pick up the book and listen to Robert read it. It's very nice. Very helpful.
Great, I'm glad.
The 5 hindrances were the teaching last night.
Oh, isn't that a beautiful chapter?
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
I got into a big fight with my dad about ketchup. Huge fight.
That's a reason. How can you fight about ketchup?
Well, I made this beautiful meal, with a beautiful recipe with salmon caught by my friend. And, it's like this glorious thing. And then he wants to do this with the ketchup. So, the person named Sandra got offended.
I see. How funny.
So I spent last night figuring out who is Sandra and why is she offended by ketchup. So ridiculous. But I was really to start a big war over it. And I did go downstairs and eat by myself.
You didn't?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. How funny. That is amazing.
Yeah, well, I was so mad. I just couldn't stand the idea of sitting across the table from him, watching him eat that beautiful meal with ketchup, quarter cup of ketchup on it. Mm-hmm. There you go. The 5 hindrances were very helpful.
I see. That there is the 6th precept, which is if you want to be a happy parent, don't force your kids to eat anything. And then there's the 7th precept, which is kind of a sub-precept, is let your father eat what the hell he wants. but hard to do when you've cooked a nice meal. I get it.
I know. He's 85 and he's acting like a petulant 8-year-old. It's so excellent.
How funny.
I think Lori has a comment.
Where are you, Lori? Can't hear you or find you. Guess not.
Hi, Robert. It's Dave. Someone was asking me about streaming the Sunday sessions and what they would look like. I went back into YouTube and found one of the just random pre-COVID Sunday sessions and posted it in the chat in case anybody's interested in
Great.
what it's like. And did you say that you had that the center invested in new equipment, or is it going to be the same video and audio equipment that has been there?
It'll be this equipment that I have right now. We're not going to have someone up in the choir loft with the camera and all that business. We're just going to have the streaming camera.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a new, yeah. It's a really high-end digital USB camera. It's this one, the same kind as this.
Great.
Hi, Robert and Sangha. Robert, I have a question for you. Are you going to be doing the drumming and then do your, I don't know what to call them, stories? When I used to go back in like '08, you did that and I always loved it.
Well, sometimes I will. My drum is right there. Yeah.
Great.
I think I probably will schedule it sometime, and I'll do a rendition of the Life of the Buddha story. That's about an hour in length. And I've been thinking of the life of the Buddha, actually, in the last few days. And this is, well, I'll be brief. Have you noticed how hard life is? Really? There's a
I have something more to add. When you just said that, it reminded me, I started with the, last night was the first session of the book club, the book circle.
Oh, right.
And we're reading like this. It's such a wonderful book. So I just.
What is it? I can't see it.
Oh, it's In Love with the World. And I cannot say his name. Is it Youngi Mingur?
Huh.
Rinpoche, and then last night he's so funny and so human, but he takes this journey. He comes from like a Buddha-like family, and he has this sense he wants to be in the real world. And just to give you the essence of it, he's so humble but so human. So he's plans his escape. Or it sounds like an escape. And anyway, he has a taxi waiting for him. Well, the taxi doesn't come, and it's rainy and it's muddy. This is in India. And so he, of course, since he was a child, he's done all the intense meditation because he's part of the reincarnate or status. I don't know all of that. But in any case, he says, okay, he knows there's refuge in Buddha and in the Dharma and in the Sangha, but he also found refuge in the taxi. And that's the kind of guy he is. And like when he's on the train, he remembers that he would be kind of like on the, the equivalent of the airlines where you're in that room for, what do they call it? The lounge. And here he's sitting with all the, disgusting stuff. And he kind of uses that word. And it's like, yeah, well, I thought it was going to be like this, but facing reality. So it's just, everybody is enjoying it. And again, if you look at it's In Love with the World. I found it really quickly.
Thanks, Eileen.
Okay. And it's a great group also. I really like that group. I like the people in it and the things they have to say. So I guess I'm plugging it as well.
Thank you. I think I'm going to share what I was about to share another time. It's too much for the moment. So anybody else sitting with something that you'd like to share this morning before we head off on our journey into life? The taxi's waiting. The Uber is waiting. All right, let us sing our way home. May all beings receive all blessings. Bhavatu sabe mangalam. Bhavatu sabe mangalam. Bhavatu sabe mangalam. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Goodbye, friends. Have a fine day.